ever after. Something we all look forward to in life, the pursuit of true, everlasting love. Valentine's Day just went by. I'm sure we can associate to this all the more. Hi, my name is Neha Sharma Iyer. I'm an actor and former radio jockey. And my story is about love, grief, and of celebration, and of the choices we make. Like some really lucky people in the world, I too was very lucky to have found true love, or rather, blessed that love chose me. It was in college when I met my then best friend Avinash. Avinash loved me truly, madly, deeply, as truly as one can love another, and I was really lucky. After 8 years of togetherness, we tied the knot. Avinash was my everything rolled into one. He was my best friend, my husband, my father figure, my sibling. Literally like a friend, philosopher, guide. I mean, I couldn't even think out loud without having my ideas pass through him. It was like he was literally a second me. And we were both absolutely interdependent. We would take all our decisions together. Life was fun. It was really a celebration. But I didn't really have many friends. Like it did not matter. As long as we were together, we really didn't need anybody. We literally kind of grew up together. I mean, we saw our first jobs, successes, disappointments, a lot of traveling, building a home and a life together. And then we stood by each other through difficult times as well. When I lost my mother, he lost his younger brother. We saw it all together. Finally, after 6 years of marriage, the time seemed right, and we decided to take our relationship to the next level and be parents. And very, very luckily for us, we even conceived in the first try naturally. So it was just beautiful. It was surreal. There was this feeling of peace and stability. But I remember neither of us, you know, expressed joy overtly or celebrated when we had seen that result on that stick. We were both, we both had gone through our personal losses. We were a little scared of, not we might jinx it. A news so beautiful. So we let it take its time to sink in. But 5 days after we found out I'm pregnant, things took a very different turn. It was the evening of 11th January 2019. My husband came back home from work, and like any other day, he went down to play his favorite sport, table tennis. It was a Friday, and I remember, we would have celebrated that weekend the news of our pregnancy. We had not celebrated. It was just so new. So I remember I was sitting up with a close friend, and I was literally breaking the news of my pregnancy to her when the phone rang. It was my mother-in-law on the other side, and she asked me to rush and check on him down because apparently she got a very frantic call that he's collapsed while playing. So right that moment, my heart started pounding. It was like an uncanny feeling, of knowing deep within that something's really not right. And it due to a warning of sorts. Like that came up like a very strong fear. So I rushed down with a bottle of water in one hand and glucose in the other. And there he was, lying like what felt unconscious, what looked like unconscious in a crowd. And suddenly that fear was shut down internally. Shock and denial took over. And even the slightest thought of the worst case scenario had no place in my mind. My fight over flight instinct took over, and I got into this hyperdrive of, taking charge and doing something about things. So I jumped in and I started doing CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and I called the ambulance. I even yelled over them on the phone for responding so casually. And, I was mobilizing people in the society, asking people to arrange a car. All of this, all the while, not checking his pulse or even, having that thought come into my mind, because it just, yeah, shock and denial. He was long gone, even when I was performing CPR on him. But you know, it's something that I realized much later. So my in-laws were a distance away. I rushed him to this ICU all by myself, and a good Samaritan from our society. Uh, it was in those moments of aloneness outside the ICU when I first broke down. I remember I hugged a stranger, this woman who was there, and I cried my fears out for the first time. And I collected myself soon after. I witnessed the surreal unfolding of events that happened thereafter with absolute numbness, because I could just not feel anything. It just, what hit me, what just happened. I mean, they declared him dead in front of me. Watching the love of my life, the father of my unborn child, first child, leave me at a time when I need him the most in life was incomprehensible. I just had one question in my head: what am I supposed to do now? It was shock, to say the least. And the timing could not have been more cruel. But, I mean, call it divine intervention or whatever. The timing could not have been more surreal either. 9 months down, when my baby boy was born, Ansh was born on Avinash's birthday. That's right. My baby boy was born on my husband's birthday. Strange are the ways of the universe, really. Back when all this happened, uh, it was not even a question in my head, whether to go ahead with this pregnancy or not. That was never a question. I was very sure of that. But what really was the question then was, how do I pick up my life from this and move ahead now that this has happened? It was right then that I made a decision. I'm going to fight this head on. I refuse to be a victim. It was almost like as though anger took over as a defense mechanism. And that it was like, me showing my middle finger to the universe. Watch me take this on. My first instinct was of self-preservation, of taking care of, protecting my child and taking care of our needs. But after the initial anger response, it became more of a conscious choice. A choice to be happy, regardless of whatever has happened. The first month was difficult, I remember. I had shut myself to the world completely. And I just allowed myself to feel what I felt. Most days were spent locked up in a room. But after about 23 days, I completely snapped out of it. I allowed the grief to consume me for a while, and then I just snapped out. I decided that I'm going to take charge of that, what I can in my control, what I can do. And that was to make it a healthy, happy pregnancy for the two of us, for me and my baby. Also, I was aware of the damage that stress can cause on the mental well-being on an unborn fetus. So for an unborn child. So I did everything in my capacity to make it a very healthy and happy pregnancy. I mean, there were times when I would allow myself to feel and process the grief as well, but I tried more to focus on, the good things, the silver linings, the blessings surrounding my life at any given point. I remember I used to listen to a lot of positive affirmations, go on long walks. I used to do a lot of prenatal yoga, or I used to dance a lot, and I made sure I surrounded myself with, friends and happy people. Uh, I even went on my own baby moon alone to London in my 7th month of pregnancy. That it really sucked, and I cried through most of it. Remembering him and grieving him is another story for another day. But I did it. I did whatever I could. But jokes apart, when we're met with a difficult situation in life, we honestly just have two choices: to go down or to pull yourself up. In 2016, I had lost my mother to depression. This was 3 years before Avinash passed away. And I had really closely seen her battle depression. Unfortunately, she gave into it, and it was very difficult for her. But after having experienced grief and the guilt associated with suicide, I had understood that letting myself go down was simply not an option. as I speak today, I realize that it's not really that simple. If you're going through a difficult time, I feel you. I totally understand that, when life hits you with a sledgehammer and you're least expecting it, it can throw you off. But how you pull yourself up is up to you. As, as chapter 6, verse 5 in Bhagavad Gita goes, lift yourself by yourself, and after having lifted yourself, don't allow yourself to be dragged down again. There's a verse that's called Uddharet Atmana Atmanam Na Atmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva hi Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripu Atmanaha, which means you yourself are your biggest friend and you yourself are your biggest enemy. So lift yourself by yourself. These were powerful verses that I grew up with, and I was very fortunate to be, in a spiritual environment thanks to my father. And it was like these stood by me as reminders through my difficult times as an adult as well. But apart from this, what really helped me deal with my loss and gave me strength along with this was Vipassana meditation, or Vipassana as some people call it. The technique of Vipassana actually helped me understand the impermanence of everything. And that phrase, it helped me internalize that phrase that we all have heard, this too shall pass. Meditation, I can't stop and emphasize enough the importance of it, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot. But how to maintain equanimity and equilibrium through all these kind of different situations in pairs of opposites and experiences is something that I learned at a very, very, very intrinsic level in meditation, and that was what really held me together. I was fortunate that I was rooted in this understanding already when Avinash passed away, and otherwise I don't know if I would have been really able to take the impact of the loss. But these were things that really helped me. I mean, I'm sharing my journey here today. But I also, having gone through grief twice and so closely, I feel that there is, very little understanding about grief and how to deal with it today. More so in our country. I mean, people don't know what to say and how to deal with it. Grief, as I have learned through my experience, is a very non-linear and personal journey. Everyone processes grief in their own unique ways, and there is no right or wrong. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. It's okay to be, feel vulnerable and be there at the spot, like completely be there, own it, and then let it go, pass away. Like, I would not have been able to do all of this alone. Definitely, I have taken everybody's help, like my entire family, my in-laws, my father, my sister, my beautiful God-sent neighbors who are like family. I was there, and that's what gave me strength, So I've accepted everybody's help, and which is what helps you move forward, in any difficult time. So it may not be grief you may be going through. You may be going through anything, even a breakup for that matter. Just speak to anybody. If you're close to, if you don't want to go to a professional, just speak to anybody who you can let your heart out to, is the most important thing that I can say. Of course, all of this, none of it is hunky-dory. You may open my Instagram page and see all happy pictures and say that, wow, I really have no issues. No, I have my very bad days as well, and most of them are like, I weep alone, and then I weep with a friend, and I weep with whatever. But I choose to, life is what you choose to focus on. What you choose to focus on actually defines your life. And we all deserve happiness. So, let's not forget that. Actually, the fact is that we are also conditioned to believe that happiness lies in things and people and association with things. Well, while they while there's no denying that these things do bring in happiness as well, but that doesn't mean you can't be happy without them. My life with Avinash was really happy. It was carefree, and the camaraderie we shared was just pure joy. And we were looking forward to growing old together. But he's no more, and I'm here. And I'm still complete as I was with him. So I'm going to go celebrate his life. I'm going to remember the good times we had. And the wonderful fact that his baby is born on his birthday, will make sure we do celebrate it every year. I mean, my baby turns 2.5 now, and I keep talking to him about Avinash. And I always will. Avinash will live on. But meanwhile, I'm also going to celebrate myself. Avinash would have liked it that way. Our loved ones want to see us happy. Happiness is a choice. I choose to be happy and I am enough. I think if we all remind ourselves of that, it makes healing a lot easier. And the fact that we are complete no matter what. I am complete. You can only play the cards you've been dealt with. And honestly, they're your cards. So own it, just own all of it. It's your unique journey. How I really feel about it is that if something happens to us, we don't need to just we don't just tolerate it. Live it and celebrate it. Ignite, if I may say. Ignite your own will, your own fire, and your own hope. You are all you have, and you are all you need. If I can do it, so can you. And again, I'm gonna close this by saying that this too shall pass. If I can, so can you.